Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between. It is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome you to the VTS Spring 2023 Finals. Tonight's battle to be the best will take place between Group A, first seed, Glacial Esports Black, and Group B, third seed, Cosa Gamers Squad. These two teams have gone to a full 5 games. In both of their previous playoff matches, they have been pushed to their absolute limits, but every time they have found a way to surpass them. They have looked that defeat screen in the eyes and pushed on, finding a way to rise above their opposition when it matters most. For Glacial Esports Black in their semifinal, they had to overcome the galvanized Glaive Emerald, who are looking quite strong after dispatching Asian Invasion 3-1 in the quarters. Game 1 was extremely one-sided in favor of Glaive Emerald, who were looking to keep up that momentum. However, they ran into a solid rock wall in Game 2 as the weak side king of GEB, Leoto, locked in Malphite for the top lane. Some incredible weak side play and strong performances in the team fights. Leoto managed to help his team turn the series around, even in spite of a slight draft hiccup in Game 4. Across the 3 games, the Glacial Esports won in that match. Leoto played 2 of them on Malphite for a combined KDA of 9-0 and 21. Performance that earned him our unofficial Player of the Match award. Coast Gamer Squad, on the other hand, had to battle against the Lords of Group B, NJ Hypeboy. A tough opponent, to be sure, but CGS actually had managed to get the better of them in Week 6 of the regular season with a 2-0, so I'm sure that did give some confidence to the third seed. They would be able to pull off the on-paper upset. Despite that, the match was incredibly contentious, with the teams going back and forth, exchanging blows. From what I can gather from the match history, most of the carrying was done from the bot lane. They had an especially impressive performance in the deciding Game 5, as CGS ADC Joker went 10-2-9 on Samira, and their support Lion Eyes had a perfect support KDA on Rel, sitting at 0-0-21. Now, really quickly to introduce the players as they get ready to take the Rift tonight. On the blue side for Game 1 will be the Cosa Gamers. In the top lane, Martial Arts for Y. In the jungle, treacherously. In the mid lane, holding it down, it's SC Animal. AD carry is going to be Disrespectful this week, not Joker. Disrespectful coming in for the finals. And in the support position, we once again have Lie in Eyes. Over here then on the red side, taking their positions will be the Group A first seed, Glacial Esports Black in the top lane. The weak side king himself, Leoto, in the jungle. Very, very flexible. Lots of different picks he can look towards. LDCs in the mid lane, Kite Azure. In the bot lane, Silva. And at support, of course, Sly Lego. Bringing you the call from the caster desk. My name is Crewman, joined tonight once again by the amazing Turk. You ready for this one, my friend?
Oh, yes. I'm absolutely ready. I'm excited. And for the record, that was a beautiful intro, mister. Great job.
Thank you.
Great job. Top notch, top notch. I think you set the series up for exactly what it's going to be, and this should be a banger. The last time we got a chance to cast there, it was awesome. We got a chance to watch GEB take it on. Game 5 went all the way, so maybe the finals tonight, we could expect to see another best of 5. It'd be interesting, but we do have to mention real quick before we start diving into team comps and champions and whatnot. One team here is not exactly at full strength tonight, Crewman.
Yes, that is quite right. Unfortunately, for the side of Cosa Gamers, they did have to do some last-minute substitutions. Obviously, we did already mention briefly Disrespectful coming in down there in that AD position over Joker, and a little bit of off-roll action, I believe, possibly happening in the mid lane.
Yeah, you're going to see that for sure. And actually, I think this is now the second week in a row that we've had an off-roll, and both times we're top laners going to the mid lane, so it's pretty interesting. The champions that we got to see last week were actually a couple of spicy ones, Olaf and Trundle, so I don't expect to see the Trundle, but maybe the Olaf is there. Animal does play that champ, so I don't know, we're gonna have to see, but it definitely throws a wrench into the side of GEB when it comes to how they're gonna draft. And really, that was one of my big questions coming into the series, was exactly how GEB was gonna adapt, because looking at those champions, some of the team comps that CGS ended up playing last week to me were just absolutely insane, and I love them. I mean, you get something like a Darius, Rengar, Nautilus. Like, when you see those 3 right away, you know that something spicy is going to be happening. So I'm looking forward to see exactly how they play come tonight. Obviously, you leave everything out on the line with best of 5 series. You're in the finals now. You've made it all the way, and congratulations to both teams for getting here. But Crewman, there can only be one winner.
That's absolutely right, Turk. There can only be one, and that is why we are all gathered here this evening to determine who that one is going to be. Cosa Gamers, of course, as already mentioned, on the blue side for Game 1. First few bans starting to trickle through here. Turk, the Lucian, and the Aurelian Soul going to be removed by CGS. And over here on the other side, GEB banning away that Olaf. Obviously a very, very strong pick in the hands of martial arts.
Yeah, it is for sure in martial arts, in both animal as well too. So definitely flex pick. It's neat there. They get that out of the way, so that's basically a 2-for-1, maybe a 3-for-1 if the jungle plays it too. But yeah, the Lucian is going to come in. That one's not much of a surprise there from Cosa Gamer Squad. Obviously, they've done their research there, and in the last 4 out of 5 games in that best of 5 series that GEB played last week, they picked Lucian Nami.
And they were against Varus every game as well. So, you know, that may have had a hand in it also, but hard to say for sure. You know, obviously respecting the Lucian Nami, I think, is a good strategy for the Cosa Gamer Squad heading into this one. No doubt in my mind. The Jarvan is going to be an option that now is going to be removed by Glacial, as well as the Melio. This is a pick that I think we are definitely going to be keeping our eyes on tonight, Turk, is the Melio. He will be banned away for game.
Oh, look at that. A little taste of MSI right there. MSI in the new patch. First pick Nautilus. Okay, obviously we know that that's a flex. I mean, I've seen a jungle too, so technically it's kind of like a 3-way flex. I guess you could send it top, so
sure
you can say 4, but realistically we're looking at a 2-way flex right now. Just gonna obviously be that mid in the support role. The Xayah is a great answer into that Nautilus already. Obviously, point select alt on the Nautilus when you have that ability to dodge it comes in pretty clutch. So the Xayah is not too much of a surprise either. Disrespectful pilots that champion a lot, and they may end up just picking up the Rakan and the Xayah here right now.
Yeah, I feel like that could be a good strategy. You know, obviously the Nautilus is not guaranteed to go into the support position, so if you don't lock in the Rakan right now, there is a chance that it can get taken away from you. So I think locking in that entire bot lane here makes sense for Glacial Esports, and now the response from Cosa Gamers, this should shed some light on where the Nautilus might be headed.
Maybe. I think they should hold this for a flex though, because Nautilus does really well into the Rakan as well, so they have an option to be able to play for that. Obviously not so much the Xayah, but pre-6 there's still windows to find picks, and especially if we play around cooldowns, there are windows. Of course, we could end up seeing maybe a V3 support here. Maybe they want to pair something like a Zeri Lulu. Lulu traditionally is one of those counters into the Rakan. Does pretty well into the early lane phase. You can push him in, kind of keep him from being able to roam in. Then in team fights, you have the ability to polymorph, and obviously ult too, so you can really kind of negate the champion itself. But we'll see what Cosa Gamer Squad want to do here on their phase 1 as they round this out. But so far from both sides, I mean, pretty stock standard. It's nice to see the Nautilus first pick. Get a little bit of flexibility coming in from Cosa Gamer Squad already. And there it is. Oh.
Yeah, you called it. Lulu going to be locked away here for Cosa Gamers alongside the Zeri for Disrespectful and Lion Eyes down there in that bottom lane. Definitely a lane that I think we're going to have to be keeping a close eye on. And I think Glacial Esports are saying the exact same thing. Let's keep all of those eyes on the bot lane. Yeah, this is a pick that we know is very good for Leoto. It was actually banned away against Leoto, I believe, in every single game in the semifinal that they played against Glaive Emerald. There's consistently a Shen ban, but he has slipped through the draft up until now, and he will be locked in for Leoto.
Yeah, it will, and very rarely do you see that champion get through. I know when I play Glacial, I don't let Shen through. There's no way, especially with their playstyle too. They like to play really heavy around their mid and their bot side especially. So having that Shen ult is just basically that ace up the sleeve there for them. Yeah, it works so well with their identity. So
100% there, Turk. Yeah, definitely a really some good drafting, I think we can say, from both sides thus far. But given the addition of nameplates to this composition, I think we're feeling really good about what Glacial Esports have put together thus far. The Nautilus, the Nautilus flex, of course, was given away a little bit as well. So that's going to allow Glacial Esports to try to target ban top lane a little bit here, looking to prune some options away from martial arts. The Aatrox and the Gwen going to be denied, and now the Lissandra and possibly another mid lane ban coming in from the side of Cosa Gamers.
Yeah, we'll see. It will be the Ahri here. So it'll be interesting to see what GEB decide to do with this R4 here. I imagine they're just going to pick their jungle. That's probably the best move, and then obviously save your counter pick for mid lane. Really make sure we know exactly. That Nautilus, again, technically it's a flex, but it's really not. We can almost guarantee right now at this point that it's going to go mid. So GEB, yeah, expect like a jungle right now. I believe Wukong's still up. That could be an option with Rakan. Tends to do really well. Oh, okay. This is a guy who's your like special. Like he absolutely loves this champ. This is really good too. Like a lot of times GEB will end up picking like the Swain second phase if the team will draft like basically a go-in comp into them. And already the Nautilus is exactly that. So the Nautilus probably won't have enough damage to be able to kill that Swain. And if you don't have enough damage, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble. But the Silas lock-in is pretty interesting too.
Yeah, the Silas, another flex pick, of course, could go into a number of different positions. I do think that the Swain would be very, very comfortable into the Nautilus. So I wonder if CGS are trying to do something on the fly here where they get Nautilus out of the mid lane, maybe send him into that jungle. And I do think that appears to be the call as Mordekaiser gets locked in for the top side. So Nautilus jungle, I think, is going to be the play here for Cosa.
A little bit of 4D chess going on here, crewman.
Yeah,
pretty spicy stuff. You see what that you can see what a B1 pick. You can see the power of blue side though, right? They actually end up getting a counter pick on the solo lane there because of that blue side, the first pick with that Nautilus, saving that flex. And I guess you could probably send the Nautilus up top if you want to, and then have the Mordekaiser jungle. Mordekaiser usually takes Ghost when they do that, but I don't think so. I think I feel pretty comfortable assuming that Nautilus is going to be going jungle, Mordekaiser top, Silas mid, obviously. And the rest answers itself, but GB will round this out with an R5. This is this final pick. It's going to be the Graves, so really like high priority, early game aggressive jungler, and if a couple kills come through in that Graves, he could really start to carry the fights basically himself.
He sure can, yeah, and usually, you know, it's not necessarily the best strategy to save your R5 counter pick for the jungler, given that he's not locked into a lane the same way that the other positions are, but LDCs is such a flexible player with such a deep champion pool that I think it is kind of working out for Glacial Esports in this situation. You know, they have the scaling bot lane that wants to play for team fights. They have Shen, who's just trying to get to level 6. And then Swain obviously also scales quite well and is going to be providing a lot of good front lines. So being able to save R5 for LDCs there and getting him to carry jungler, I think makes a lot of sense.
That's right, and I'll be able to kind of add on to that as well there. So the R5 Graves makes a lot more sense. The Nautilus, I think I said that the Nautilus was going jungle. I meant that it should be going mid, which means that Silas, of course, is going to be going jungle. And if that's the case, then Silas is actually going to have a really difficult time being able to contest Graves. Graves clears pretty healthy, and he's able to evade, do a lot of sneaky things, and Silas struggles a lot early game. You want to be able to get as many kills as you can, kind of like look for like level 3 cheese ganks or whatever you can to find something. But the Graves, if he's able to play into your jungle the whole time, be a nuisance, put pressure on, which we know that LDCs can do, and we know that GB can play around that pressure, that's why that R5 pick comes in so much more clutch.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely feeling really powerful here for the side of Glacial Esports. And I do want to just go ahead, quickly apologize to Twitch chat. Yes, we know that the overlays are incorrect. I unfortunately do not have the power to fix that. So please just, you know, DM Bondi. Let Bondi know that
bug Bondi.
You're concerned about the incorrect nature of these overlays, and hopefully we are going to be able to get something done about that. So, you know, jury's still out on that one. Please just bear with us. For anybody just joining, Glacial Esports Black is going to be on the red side, and we do have the Cosa Gamer Squad on the blue side for this first game. So I don't know if we have any mods in chat. Maybe you could pin that for us. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants here. I'm doing my best. All right, guys. So just bear with us, please. And we are going to be at least having some entertaining League of Legends to watch. I can guarantee you that much, even if the listed teams are not necessarily the ones that are on the Rift.
Yeah, there's going to be really exciting here. Game 1, obviously, you get some of those jitters out of the way here. I mean, if you're looking at both sides right now, like GEB's drafted such a strong comp, especially for their identity. Being able to get that Swain as well kind of feels like the cherry on top, because generally they like to play a lot of like front to back, create space again for the carries. We talked a bunch about it last week. We'll mention it again this week because GEB has a very strict style and they play it extremely well. So they've got exactly what they wanted pretty much everywhere across the board. LDCs has priority jungle too, so you should be able to make a lot of things happen on his own timing. So GEB, I feel like they're really in the driver's seat for this game 1. CGS, I like their comp as well. I just feel like it doesn't really hit home quite the same.
Yeah, it is pretty light on physical damage, actually. Interestingly, the composition for Cosa Gamers, they really only have the Zeri, who also a significant part of her kit is magic damage, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So that is potentially concerning. You know, you do have the Shen and the Swain over here on the other side of things for Glacial Esports that can get pretty tanky, could potentially try and stack up some of that magic resist and make, you know, things a little bit more difficult for this Cosa Gamers composition. But I do think that the Cosa Gamers have some tools to work with, right? There is a chance that Mordekaiser can pull ahead of the Shen in that top lane matchup early on. You know, if that happens early enough for martial arts, then maybe he can deny Shen from having an impact on the rest of the map, at least, you know, through the first part of the mid game. And then the Nautilus jungle obviously is a little bit of a wild card. So, you know, something there that maybe the side of Glacial Esports wasn't necessarily expecting. And you know, there's a possibility, or yeah, I mean, we certainly weren't expecting it, right, sir? So
we're
you know,
trying here.
yeah, the element of surprise is you know,
it works.
Often very important consideration.
Yeah, 100% here. And yeah, really, as we round out our Game 1 drafts here, it seems really stock standard for GEB to get exactly what they're looking for. A couple things to really take note of on the CGS side. If you're looking to play like around your comp as best as you can, obviously having that Nautilus jungle, being able to impact as many lanes as possible, that's really good news for you. I know the Leoto, he's used to weak side warrior. I think especially is going to be the case here because he's definitely counterpicked in a vacuum. The Mordekaiser does really well into the Shen, so we'll see exactly what ends up happening with that matchup, you know, one-on-one, let alone like a Nautilus gank or anything that can really impact. Mid lane, you could do the same thing. The Silas actually tends to do pretty well into the Swain. Generally, if you just steal the Swain, all you're basically Swain with more damage effectively. So Silas does basically fills that void as well, meaning like the counter pick in a vacuum. But yeah, when you put all these champions together in CGS, it'll be interesting to see how the comps play out. But yeah, there's no doubt Magic Resist is going to be super clutch here, which obviously GB is very well aware of when you draft a comp like this, but that doesn't really mean too much at all. We always talk about it's always about execution.
Of course. It always does come down to what happens on the Rift Turk, as you say. But overall, I think, would I be correct in asserting that you are leaning a little bit more towards this Glacial Esports composition in terms of where you think the advantages are lying in this draft phase?
For sure. I had a little bit of a hot take off the record when we were talking about it, and I said that I thought if GEB was going to lose the series, they'd end up losing in the draft phase. That's what I thought. So right now for Game 1, I think they proved me wrong, and that's a really good thing for them. So we'll see how they play around the team comp that they've got. I know it's definitely comfort across the board.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, Glacial Esports should be favored in tonight's finals on paper, right? The first seed coming out of the regular season, and they have looked very strong. They've looked very consistent, right, across the season here in Spring Split of the VTS. But Cosa gamers have pulled off upsets before. There's certainly a chance they could make it happen again. Game 1 of tonight's best of 5 coming right at you right after a short break. Don't go anywhere, guys. See you here soon. Welcome to Summoner's Rift, everyone, indeed, for game one of the night. Once again, Cosa Gamer Squad and not the Hounds on the blue side, and Glacial Esports Black, definitively not the Falcons on the red side. We are going for a little bit of an invade here, a 5-stack from the Cosa Gamers, but I don't know if they're going to be finding anybody.
Maybe if they loop around, they might end up catching Silva. We'll see.
It is possible, and Silva certainly wouldn't be expecting it from that angle, right?
The question mark pings did actually come in that that jungle entrance, so I mean, GEB,
Here
they're
comes the
smelling something.
Nautilus. Treacherously on the jungle Nautilus. They're
Uh-oh.
closing in. Silva, who he sees him at the last possible second, but he doesn't flash the chains.
Oh,
It
the
might
hook.
not matter, but the flash follow over for Treacherously. He lands the dredge line. Silva burning down very low, and that will be the first blood for Cosa Gamers. Treacherously on the jungle Nautilus picks it up.
Goes the gamer squad coming out swinging,
Oh,
already
yeah.
getting that first blood. They exchange. I think it's just yeah, it's just flash for flash, and they end up netting first blood there. That's awesome. You could argue maybe it's not the best that it goes on Nautilus at treacherously, but I mean they're going to take that. Let's be honest here. That's a great start to this series and early momentum for sure.
Hey, I mean that's a jungle Nautilus, right? His economy matters. It's relevant, and getting that first blood definitely going to allow him to be tankier earlier on in the game and do a little bit of a better job frontlining for the squad here, setting up for the Zeri, right? Disrespectful, obviously, disrespectful subbing in tonight for the Cosa Gamers, not necessarily on the starting roster. So, doing everything that they can to set him up for success, I think, is going to be really, really important.
Yeah, for sure. And they ended up getting Zeri with disrespectful, which is definitely one of his comfort picks. So I think they've done a good
Mm.
job with that. They already established bot lane priority here. So they're just going to build that wave up, have it crash in. And right now, yeah, they have the level advantage. And Silva, Sly Lego, they just relax, catch this wave. And really, Sly Lego wants to be able to get out of this lane as much as possible. Roam, that's kind of the idea. And be able to look to see if he can't impact the map, as obviously the Rakan roams are a bit stronger than Lulu. Nice damage, though, from both sides.
Yeah. Leoto obviously initiating that one, able to land the taunt, but Mordekaiser, once he gets that passive procced, pretty much always wins those trades in melee matchups. So martial arts pretty comfortable for now. And Mordekaiser, honestly, here, Turk, has been feeling pretty strong at the moment. I've been seeing him quite a bit in solo queue. I think some people have been spamming Mordekaiser a bit recently. I'm not quite sure what happened to make him so strong right now, but he's kind of been tearing it up recently in my experience.
If tanks are doing well, Mordekaiser tends to do pretty well too. He just
Yeah, fair
generally
enough.
speaking does well under the tanks, so could be a good reason. But yeah, the Mordekaiser, that champion, is kind of like a bit of a pocket pick. I think really the only one who plays in the LCS is like Impact. But
Oh, legend on the Mordekaiser,
yeah,
of course.
100%.
Ooh.
But the champion, look what you could do on this champion, right?
Yeah,
Insane.
even taking a turret shot there, but the level advantage coming through for the Mordekaiser means he can continue to play aggressively,
Yeah,
push
for sure.
Leoto in.
And you can see LDC's right now. He's already off to a bit of a gold lead here. He's what got 3 camps on treacherously at this point right
Two
now.
camps, two camps.
2 camp. Oh yeah, camp math. Sorry, hard.
It's okay. Numbers hard. Yeah.
Difficult. So yeah, he's already off to a good start here. Treacherously should be able to play for that topside scuttle, be able to pick that up and grab those 2 camps as well. But naturally, the Nautilus will end up falling behind in terms of camps cleared. But with that being said, the impact on the map is going to be that much more. So Treacherously really
Yeah.
wants to get in those positions where he could find those hooks, and if he's able to land them, then chances are kills can follow too.
Definitely has the Hex Flash, of course, as well. So not even hurt that badly by the use of the flash at the level 1 mark there to secure that
Yeah.
first blood. See what else the Nautilus is going to be able to get done in the early game, because that is obviously one of the greatest strengths of the champion from the jungle position is the that really powerful CC to be able to affect, in particular, the solo lanes. I think could really be good places for the Nautilus to look towards. But look at this from LDCs, right back from the reset straight into the enemy jungle, going to be able to steal away this Raptor camp, put himself a little bit further ahead with more to farm
Yeah, and
for the Graves.
you should be able to
Treasures,
grab that kind of right out from under the nose of Cosa Gamer Squad
yeah,
there. And the
sneaks
question
it
mark ping's
away.
coming in. Yeah, they recognize now. LDCs was in your jungle. Now he's kind of hiding this bush, and I don't think anything's gonna happen mid. Bot lane, pretty much the same deal here for now. Both teams really looking for those sixes, and that's when these fights can really start to explode. And Hannibal in a little bit of trouble.
Ooh, trying to sidestep the Vision of Empire there. Does manage to get away from the Never Move, though, as well, which will mean that the Silas is going to be able to easily make it underneath the turret.
Hmm.
Interesting as well that LDCs is opting for the Ghost on the Graves this game. Ghost Fleet is the loadout for LDCs. So definitely something to track. If the lack of the flash is going to be something that comes back to bite him later on, but certainly the Ghost going to allow potential some longer
Oh
chase
no.
downs, and the Stand United Leoto just taken over to 6, and it's the Glacial Esports special Turk. He immediately goes to the bottom lane and he gets them a kill.
And treacherously looking for something else too. Oh,
Oh, gets the flash out from
close.
the Swain.
Close.
Very nice.
Yeah, the
Good
wave will
attempted
crash.
counterattack.
Both waves will crash, mid and bot here. And the Lulu putting up a valiant effort, but inevitably again does crash there. And yeah, you could really see what Glacial Esports is capable of doing when they do have that Shen pick. Obviously, Oda taking the TP now just heads up top side, barely misses anything, down like what 5, 6 CS. Again, I can't math, so don't care too much about it. But
Pretty
yeah,
much
you
right
can
on the
already
money this
see.
time around.
Yeah, Sly Lego when he's able to play like an engaged support, they're able to play around that. You can see what really can end up happening. That it's basically just that Shen ult clicks as soon as it happens, and it's a full commit from GEB, and they do a great job executing.
Definitely. Yeah, that was really really well played, honestly. I feel like I didn't even realize that the Stand United was being channeled, so I'm not sure, like, maybe the side of Cosa Gamers also weren't aware. I didn't even see the shield. I don't know if maybe they like burst out the shield right as it was. Oh wait, Zeri steals shields, doesn't she?
She sure does.
So I wonder if like Shen started channeling his ultimate like right as Zeri auto attacked and stole the shield,
hmm
and then there was no way for them to know that the Shen was coming.
Oh,
It's kind of
maybe actually
insane,
true.
actually.
True. Yeah, it did seem a little out of the blue to be honest with you. The
Yeah, I
the
mean,
Shen
I
kind of
was
came in there
very
pretty
caught off
quick.
guard.
I mean, obviously disrespectful in the Lion Eyes were too, right? So
Yeah,
with that, obviously that's great. Your first Stand United on the Shen coming in clutch right away. It's basically the golden rule of playing TF as well, right? You want to be able to get that
sure.
first ultimate, make an impact on the map, and they've done a great job right now with that global.
Yeah. 1-1
Oh,
right now on the board. We are still dead even here in the early minutes of game number 1. First dragon is an Ocean. Shelly going to be making her way onto the rift to join us in just about 30 seconds. Obviously,
mhm.
Graves really just likes to kill the smaller jungle camps to get himself ahead. First things first, and we
Oh,
have a little bit of an engage down here as the root does come down. The Blade Caller connects onto Lion Eyes. The Lulu able to back away in time. Not disrespectful. Looking to do a little bit of
the
punishment
extended
here
trade.
in return for that attempt
Holy,
onto his support. Getting a lot of damage down onto both of these bird people as Sly Lego going to have to stand in front to block some of those shots. The Death Realm committed in the top lane.
oh,
Leoto
that's a
doesn't have
kill.
anywhere to go. He can't escape from the realm of death, and martial arts is going to be able to pick up his first of the game.
Oh, GB, they need to be a little bit careful here. Treasure Sleeves around and the pings are coming through. They have bot priority, so they can contest this. I don't know if they're able to get there in time, but a fight might happen right away.
Nautilus
Yep,
just over the wall, flashes into the pit a second too late. The dragon goes over, but the fight is looking very good for the Costa Gamers. They immediately take down the jungler. They lose their Lulu, but I think the price might be just a little bit too high as Kite Azur all alone on the front lines. The demon will be slain, and that was a 3-for-1 fight in favor of the Costa Gamers.
yeah, you get the dragon, but three members go down, and that's really off the back of bot priority from Disrespectful and Lion Eyes. The all in from Silva and Sly Lego is there, the damage, but if you can't get that kill, the extended trades come in with Zeri and the Lulu. They're able to chase you down, burn Silva's flash, which unfortunately just really hasn't been able to use his flash at all aggressively this entire game so far. And he's still playing well around the fact that he doesn't have his flash, but nevertheless, that whole bot state was really the main reason why that ended up playing out the way it did. Sly Lego.
Oh, nice angle here from the
No
Rakan.
way.
Disrespectful is not going to be able. Oh, that
Okay.
battle dance. Oh, I guess he must have used the grand entrance to get over the wall
That's
to set
exactly what he
himself
did, yep.
up for that play. Didn't have it to actually get the CC.
Disrespectful actually burning the Feather Storm there from Silva as well. So playing really well around this area. Really well. Right now, Martial Arts just has this wave frozen for Leoto, and a 10 CS lead is not exactly what you're hoping for on the Mordekaiser, but you do have that one kill, of course, and Leoto almost getting pulled in, but no ultimate for Mord just yet. Good rotation
Okay.
topside, though. Cosa Gamer Squad
Yeah.
does have the priority on this Rift. Sly Lego is looking for something, but was on a ward. Should know as well with that ward expiring. So
Definitely. And of course, Animal, knowing where his own jungle and support are, can comfortably play towards this top side. And this is really important for the team that lost out on the first dragon, right? I do feel like it's pretty critical to stabilize your early game, to be able to trade those early neutrals. And it looks like Treacherously will be able to accomplish that. Secures the Eye of the Heralds. Martial Arts level up in this top lane after that solo kill, but Leota withstanding the pressure for now.
LDC is just around the corner.
Oh, here comes the Graves. Yeah, they're going to make this a 2v1 situation. Mordekaiser does have the ultimate, though. He could
Oh,
look for it, but he's just going to decide to accept his fate. It's too much damage already from the Graves that Mordekaiser just got burst down so quickly. Martial Arts just going to let it happen.
yeah, the Graves damage coming in there with the end of the line. I didn't know that's what the Graves Q was named, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. But when you're right next to the wall, the instant explosion basically just chunked martial arts, and yeah, he's dead. But he saves his flash, and crucially, I think that's the main thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, save the ultimate as well. So can look for a play once he comes back into that top lane.
Oh, good route.
Yeah. Pretty healthy still is the Zeri. Gonna pop the shock now. Gonna try
Shen.
and get excited, try and build up that movement speed. But yeah, the Stand United has come through. Leoto's once again joined the fight down here in the bottom lane. Lion Eyes trapped in the alcove. Hard to escape here. I think Shen still holding on to the taunt.
Oh, we
There's the flash
dodged.
for the grand entrance. Gets the knockup onto Disrespectful, but they're
No
getting
way.
towards this turret. And this time around, the Stand United, not enough. Oh, the flash taunt there does come through. Very nice from Leoto. Finds the lockdown. And Kaitazur actually takes the last hit with the W.
He does. Animal's just around the corner too.
Ooh,
Has
here comes
Swaynar.
Animal. Yeah, Demonic Ascension available for both mid laners. The Silas has stolen that one away. And they will both cast it, jumping on
Ooh!
to the Shen now. A really nice depth charge. Gets the triple knockup. But the Featherstorm in response is so huge from Silva. And now it's structurally getting pulled back by the Never Move. And it will be the side of Glacial Esports winning out pretty massively in the end in that bot side play. Three
And
for
the whole
none, I
time.
believe.
That's right. None of that CS is going to waste up top side either. LDCs on the Graves is able to pick that up. We saw him do this quite a bit last series, last week too, where he'd end up just kind of heading off to a side lane and just catching up as much gold as he possibly can, farming up, and it's exactly what he's doing right now. Has the Yomus as well on the Graves, so really massive one item spike. The damage that he's going to be doing is going to be that much more. So already you can see this Grave starting to come online. The Shen having that impact that both you and I expected, playing around the bot side, Silva and Sly Lego, being able to capitalize after a bit of a rough, first dragon there, but they've rebounded excellently well. And if they time their ultimates together, they can make a lot of magic happen.
Yeah, definitely. They have been playing it out well here. And you mentioned the Graves picking up that farm in the top lane is so good for this champion in particular as well, right? Just looking to accelerate himself even further. As you just mentioned, already having the Ghost Blade in inventory, really powerful point in the game right now for LDCs. It's like a
At this point,
dragon
too.
spawning. About 20 seconds will be an Infernal, our second one.
That's right. And Silva actually has the item advantage right now on Disrespectful, even after everything that's ended up happening right now. So the Storm Razor is coming in. Sly Lego does have his ultimate too. So this bot lane is a big, big hotspot for both teams.
Yeah, definitely. As it so often is, right? These days here on Summoner's Rift, lots of people looking to focus down on that bottom side. And we called it out right from the beginning of the game as well that this is going to be a really important lane to look towards in determining how this one ends up getting played out. Shelly going to be arriving in the bot lane as well. Needed to get dropped immediately to try and secure some turret plates for herself. Only 20 seconds left on those. Sly Lego looking to punish, though, as the teleport behind has come through from Leoto. The unleashed teleport buffs coming up pretty big, but how does the fight look? This one might not go as much in favor of Glacial Esports. Shelly has gotten down the charge, and they're not actually able to successfully punish that aggressive move from Cosa Gamers. Animal in the river might be getting punished a little bit here. Yeah, doesn't have the Demonic Ascension. This time around, he will get taken down by a shot in the back from LDCs. Now Lion Eye is going to be sacrificed as well. The Lulu, no way to escape from that situation. And at least they got a couple of plates on the side of Cosa Gamers, but they lost out on the fight this time around once again.
Yeah, they did. It was unfortunately just Animal getting caught heading down towards the river. And unfortunately, at that point, yeah, once you get pulled by the Swain, CC is enough. You'll be able to get that kill. And that's exactly what they do. And yeah, Animal just doesn't have the opportunity to be able to grab that Swainar, buy that much time for his team to be able to get there. And yeah, at the end of it, Glacial Esports do a great job. Equally, though, martial arts on this Mordekaiser is up massive when it comes to CS at this point. What, 40? Is that right, crewman? Is that 40?
Yeah, no, that math is checking out to me for sure.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a
It
lot of
is quite
CS
a
up
bit.
right now. He's got that turret. I'm gonna just check real quick. He's got his Rylai's and he's sitting on 2.2k in the bank too. So in a vacuum right now, that Mordekaiser 100% wins split. It's just really about how GB is able to play around their ultimates and group up as a team, because that's really what this team comp wants to do. Bread and butter.
Yeah, 100%. Let's see if they are going to be able to get towards that mark. Grand
Ooh,
entrance just wide as Animal with the reaction. Dodges away, steals away the quickness as well. Gets a nice charm down, but will it be enough as Kite Azur moving forward? The teleport in once again from Lyoto as well, utilizing the steadfast
or the
presence.
Mordekaiser.
And that will be, or the stand United, excuse me, as the Mordekaiser does manage to get one shutdown onto the mid laner, flashes away now to try and survive. And with the with the movement speed, will be able to get away. It is a 1-for-1 overall.
Yeah, Disrespectful was on his way, but the fight ends up basically happening by the time that he gets there. He pushes up mid wave instead, but Silva not able to quite get the turret. Doesn't feel too confident with that, and I think that's a pretty wise decision. Maybe he could have got it, but I think that's a okay for him. But yeah, at the end of it, again, you're just seeing GEB able to group up, look to make some plays, and fortunately that time, yeah, SC Animal he was able to live, and Kaizur does go down, and all in all, half decent game state for both teams. 27.7K for both. So dead even right now
Yeah.
at 16 minutes.
But of course, we do have that 2 dragon lead for the side of Glacial Esports, and will be a Mountain Soul this game. So very, very impactful, especially for the Shen and for the Swain in those solo lanes. Can allow them to be even tankier. And if they do end up stacking up that MR as well, they are going to be incredibly difficult to get through.
No, you're absolutely right on that. And right now we see the entirety of topside being lit up there for Glacial Esports. So I was wondering if that Hex Flash, if there's going to be anything that amounted to it, but at that point, not so much. But Glacial Esports, you can see the vision topside that allows LECs to be able
Yeah.
to grab this objective, but equally, treacherously on the bot side can look for a
Cross
dive.
map, a
Do a great job forcing
possibility.
them off.
Yeah, at least the bot lane will back off in time there. Good heads up from Glacial Esports to recognize that they were not able to defend that turret, so they will back away. They didn't have the Shen ultimate there either, so just having to give that one over is relatively worthwhile. You know, you should be able to trade back a turret with the help of the Rift Herald, and LDC is able to steal away a bunch of this topside jungle as well. Graves getting even further ahead.
Yeah, that's really the big thing right there. LDC is able to just continuously farm over and over. He does grab that Rift Herald. Inevitably, one of these turrets will go down. You could probably assume it's going to be mid. Obviously, the highest priority tier 1 turret. But yeah, equally right now, we got Cosa Gamer Squads with the 2 turret lead with still equal gold. So you can really see how much LDC is able to kind of pilot this champion, how far he can get ahead. And just a gold lead alone from him is about 1.7. So right around almost 2K basically at that point. So basically a 2K gold lead
Yeah.
on the Nautilus, which is to be expected, of course, but nevertheless, that gold lead is definitely coming in clutch.
Yeah, and of course, the gold lead for the side of Cosa Gamers is in that top lane. The Mordekaiser over the Shen. Lyoto, of course, been playing very, very heavily for the team, particularly that bottom lane. Basically, just utilizing the Stand United on cooldown to get himself down there. And martial arts has benefited, you know, of course, able to take down, I believe that was first brick for the Mordekaiser in the top lane, as well as that significant farm advantage. Animal looking for something onto Kite Azur, who pops the Demonic Ascension, but gonna get knocked out by the Depth Chargers. So much CC. The Swain is surviving for a while. The stolen Demonic Ascension is going to have to be utilized by Animal. They do eventually manage to take down the mid laner. That is a much needed kill for the Coast Gamers.
Yeah, absolutely is. And the Stand United does come out too, so that buys a bit more time for Costa Game Squad. Hook just barely going wide. I swear I've seen those Nautilus hooks land before.
Rakan felt that on his tail feathers.
Yeah, he sure did. And at this point right now, you can see the priority on this 3rd dragon being already established by Costa Gamer Squad, forcing the rest of Glacial Esports away from their bot side, and the question mark pings are coming in. They know that that's not their jungle at this point.
Yeah, definitely. And it is critical, right, that the Costa Gamers do manage to secure this 3rd dragon and stop the soul stacking from continuing.
Ooh.
The flash for the dredge line. Nice reaction from Silva. Gets into the air in time with the Feather Storm. Will survive, but that is a critical cooldown that did have to be used. And it seems like the side of Glacial Esports might just be willing to give up this dragon as a result. Ooh,
I
maybe
think
not,
they want
though.
to fight it. Treacherously burned his
Teleport
flash for
in
that.
for Lyoto. And yeah, definitely. It doesn't seem like they're moving in. I don't know if they're going to be in time to contest those. Dragging down to about 50%. Lyoto stepping
LBCs.
forward on the Shen, looking to secure some vision
Oh,
for the
wow.
team. There's LDCs over the wall. Not able to get into the pit, though. The smite is good from the Nautilus as the fight breaks out treacherously on the front lines. Animal forced to go golden kind of right at the start of this one. Dashing away, trying to stay alive. Kite Azur with the Demonic Ascension positioning so aggressively, getting so much damage out with the
Oh.
Swain ultimate there. And there's just no way for anybody on Cosa Gamers to get through him towards the back line. They win out absolutely massively in the fight, Turk. 4 for nothing. They lose in the Dragon, but that was 100% worth.
Oh, for sure. I like the initial call from Cosa Gamer Squad, right? You look to make that play. You have the Mordekaiser ult, so you can deny LDCs from being able to get in the pit, and that's exactly what they do. They secure that dragon for themselves. But off the back of a really good team fight, Kaitis were able to play up as aggressive as he does, obviously with that stopwatch, the Swain ultimate. He buys so much time for the rest of his team to be able to get there. And by that point, in extended fights, it's very clear to see that GEB absolutely cleans up the floor. It's very difficult. I mean, you got to ask yourself, how are you going to kill a Swain at this point? Especially you got to keep in
Yeah.
mind the Shen's always in the back pocket, let alone a Zaya too. So both carries right now on GEB feel like they're in a pocket, basically quarterbacks of football, right? They just feel like they're
Mm.
so safe right now in the lineman. This front line that GEB's been able to draft has been able to make so much happen for these guys.
Absolutely, yeah. And the Kite Azur, the Swain, he doesn't even have any resists yet. I mean, I guess technically he's got a Seeker's arm guard, so there's a little bit of armor there, but like he's gonna get so much tankier. Like this is just the beginning for the Swain.
LDCs could be in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, the
Overlord is side
Graves
lane.
is positioning very aggressively. There's the stolen stand united coming through from Animals. The Silas makes it a
Oh,
3v1. Oh, but look at that double teleport from the side of Glacial Esports. They managed to turn it around a little bit. They make it a 1-for-1 in what looks like a desperate situation for the jungler. Vision of Empire will connect. Leoto and lines up for the taunt. Marshall's running out of HP underneath the turret. But Leoto taking a bunch of turret shots. But look at this. Look at who's here. It's the bot lane as well. It's the entire squad from Glacial Esports. Leoto lands another taunt. And there goes Silva up into the air with a feather storm. They're looking to be able to clean up yet another team fight. This time around in the top lane. They get the 4-for-2.
and all this is off the back of the third dragon. They're able to get the Baron and then the Tempo. You can see how well Glacial Esports is able to play around the advantages that they have. And with the team comp that they've drafted too, it really seems like the execution kind of works itself in. All they need to worry about is their macro, where they position. And long story short, in these extended fights that we talked about once, you could really see where basically at this
Oh.
point, it's so difficult for Cosa Gamer Squad to be able to deal with anything. And tier 2 top is going to go down. Look what LDCs is doing here too in bot side. Again, catching just a
Hmm.
massive, massive wave. Going to pick up so much more gold off this, and they have a ton of time left on this Baron too to look for more plays.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, not that much time. They have 1 minute left. They have two more
I
minion
lied.
waves to work with, and they are going back to base for the reset here. So realistically, one minion wave left to work with to try and make a push happen. And having already taken every single turret outside of the base, not with besides that bot lane tier 2, I don't know if they're really going to be able to get too much more with this Baron, but definitely eyes on that dragon coming up in a couple minutes.
Yeah, for sure. And at this point right now, Glacial Esports wants to focus on pushing these waves. You can see that they've elected to play towards bot side, sending 4 members here. Looks like maybe Leota will kind of hover in between both lanes. He can kind of do that on
Uh-huh.
this Shen. He could be anywhere at any time. But yeah, you could really see the siege here is beginning already. And yeah, the Baron is going to be wearing off. But at this point right now, it's so difficult for Costa Gamer Squad to be able to contest. You have to let these
Yeah.
outer turrets fall. And at that point, you might even need to let a couple inhibitors fall. And the game state right now for both the team is just it just feels so dire.
Gold lead up to about 6.5K for Glacial
Leoto.
Esports as the taunt lands for Leoto, looking to get the lockdown, but Animal just barely able to dash over the wall in time to safety. Death's Grasp going to pull in the Rakan, but not able to lock him down for long enough.
Exactly it. And at this point too, I mean, continuing up with the pressure that we have, it really is all about this bot side control right now. If they're able to get this third dragon, it puts them on soul point. Glacial Esports, they know how to control vision really well. And I'd like to see what Costa Gamer Squad is doing here. They're not contesting in the bot side jungle right now. They're pushing out that mid wave.
Mhm.
And that's the first thing. Hopefully they continue to push out that mid wave before they look to make any sort of place in the jungle. But
Yeah,
uh-oh.
I mean, that's a never move that's landing onto the Nautilus treacherously,
Okay.
getting chunked down to about 50% just before the
LDCs
dragon
isn't here yet.
spawns. That is true. Yes, the Grave's still on that Raptor camp. Still need to rotate over. 20 seconds till the Dragon is alive. And they did manage on the side of the Coastal Gamers to take down that tier 1 in mid. So that is actually quite significant. They have a little bit more space to work with now on the Rift, particularly around this mid lane, looking to get control over this bot side river now. They do have that pink ward in the line brush, looking to fight for mid lane control. But stepping forward now is Glacial Esports. They are very strong right now. In a straight up 5v5, I don't know if Ghost of Gamers can come out on top. And look at Silva untouched on that back line. The Zaya just absolutely raining down hell in the form of feathers on all of these Cosa Gamers. And it will be a complete annihilation in the mid lane as Glacial Esports get the 5-for-0 this time around and look to push in for the end.
Game 2 Shen ban.
I think
that's
so.
that's
I
my guess.
think so, Turk. Yes,
Leoto.
indeed.
1, 2, and 17 with the scoreline. Yeah, he ends up going down like 150 CS in lane and ends up losing turret, but it doesn't matter. The impact that he makes for his bot side is just it's there. It's everything that they need in Glacial Esports. Yeah, they're absolutely able to pop off the side of that, and which looks so
Yeah.
dire really off that first Dragon Call for Glacial Esports with Cosa Gamer Squad playing around the bot side priority that they had. You could really see what ends up happening when Glacial Esports is able to get in that driver's seat. And yeah, after that third dragon where Costa Gamer Squad basically end up getting wiped, it's really clear that it's difficult to be able to deal with Glacial Esports when they end up getting the edges that they do. And right now for Costa Gamer Squad, you got to ask yourself how you want to adapt. And you and I both mentioned it already. We'll say it one more time. You got to really think about what you want to do with your bans here. Giving Leota the Shen really plays to Glacial Esports style. Now, mind you, it's kind of
Mhm.
difficult because Leota's one of those. We talked about it again. Like everything seems so repetitive, but it's true. Leota plays really well, basically on any tank that you give him. Doesn't matter. He's gonna be able to absorb pressure extremely well, and he does a great job with that on his signature Shen, and even more so, he's able to impact the rest of the map while he does so.
Yeah. Just the Shen just works too well with the
Yeah.
strategy for Glacial Esports. They just look like such a well-oiled machine, particularly when they have that Shen in the top lane. But honestly, just in general, I mean, such a methodical team, such a consistent team, as we mentioned at the top of the stream. So, after that first game, coming out of that one, the Cosa Gamers, the creative drafting, it wasn't enough here, Turk. Honestly, this first game, it wasn't that close in 25 and a half minutes. And it really did feel like Glacial Esports were in a pretty comfortable position the entire time. Really, it might be back to the drawing board here for the Cosa Gamers, but we'll revisit what kind of adaptations they can make in just a minute. First, Turk, I want to get from you a POG vote for this first game. Looking over towards our game one winners, Glacial Esports. Is it Leoto again? He got the Shen 1, 2, and 17, right? He made the impact in those bot lane fights. Or would you look more towards LDCs on the Graves, who was able to get so far ahead? What do you think?
LDCs did a great job this game for sure, but I feel like the impact that he had on the map just wasn't nearly as much as Leoto. I mean, Leoto, you got
Hmm.
to give it to a 1, 2, and 17 scoreline speaks for itself. He's part of 18 out of 22 kills as a top laner. Like the Shen, 100% Leoto's going to get game one MVP for me. The LDC's piloted the Graves really well. He did what he needed to do, but a lot of the times he was like soaking XP, playing for himself, getting the advantages through the items that he was able to accrue with all the gold leads. Obviously, clearing of the camps as fast as what he does. Playing for all the waves. I don't know how many waves we ended up seeing LDC soak, but he took a lot, probably as
Yeah,
much as his
yeah,
top laner. So he played.
probably.
It's not like he didn't play great in Kite Azure and obviously Sylvan Slide Lego. Everybody played really well in Glacial Esports Black for game one. But yeah, standout for me is Leoto, and you got to give a nice shout out to Slide Lego too with a 1-1 and
For
18
sure.
score line. So that doesn't go unnoticed either.
Yeah, like you said, everybody really popping off here in game one for Glacial Esports. They really do look like a well-oiled machine, but it's Leoto, our semifinals MVP, doing it again, gets his hands on the pocket Shen, and just gets them the win, manufactures it for the team. So now we will be looking towards that game two draft, but a short break first. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to be right back with your VTS finals right after this. All right, everybody, welcome back. Getting ready to jump into our Game 2 draft now between Cosa Gamers Squad and Glacial Esports Black. We will be swapping sides with Cosa Gamers electing to go over to the red side, get their hands on that R5 counter pick. And I do need to briefly mention, I guess, apparently at the end of that last game, we had some camera difficulties where it was not focusing on anything that matters.
No, we were looking at the fountain. It was a nice fountain. It was a nice fountain.
I suppose.
Maybe not that nice.
Maybe not sure how that happened. But, definitely we'll be keeping an eye on that.
That's right. We'll pay attention for that one for sure. But yeah, we're definitely excited here for game number 2. Game 1 felt pretty decisive for GEB, and we are going to get kicked off here with the ban phase beginning, obviously here. So we'll see exactly what CGS decide to do. But yeah, don't be surprised to see that Shen coming in there.
Yeah, I feel like the Shen could be hitting the ban list for sure, but that means they will have to drop either the Aurelion Soul or the Annie ban. Maybe they feel like one of these bans isn't as important from red side.
I think the Ace. I don't even think you need to ban the Aurelion Soul. I don't think that's much of a good ban. And we didn't really see a strong performance from Kaiser. I believe that was a game 1 when they ended up losing on the Aurelion Soul, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, not a massive performance on that champion. So I think that they could drop that ban in favor of the Shen if that's what they want to do. Obviously, CGS has minds of their own, so it'll be interesting to see how they play this red side. Obviously, with effectively 2 top laners now, they have seems like multiple flexes, right? Even more so than normal. I don't know entirely how this phase is going to go out, but it's definitely a wild card for GEB.
Yeah, definitely. See what they're going to be able to pull out here on B1. Emilio, of course, will be banned away from blue side, and then there is that Shen ban coming through from the Cosa Gamers, something that we're certainly expecting, as we already mentioned.
And it'll be interesting to see what GEB decides to do. Previous patches, I would have said it probably would have been a jinx, but in this case, they're going to elect to
straight back to it, I suppose.
Yep, prioritize Rakan, and this leaves CGS with a decision of whether or not they want to deny that Xayah. I do know that Disrespectful plays a lot of that champion, so I believe in game 1, GEB adapted to that pretty quickly with picking that Xayah, Rakan denying it away from him. So in game 2 now, he's going to be in the same position, whether he wants to take that Xayah for himself, or obviously whether they feel like they can give that up. Something that we've seen do pretty well and more towards pro scene, of course, would be the Thresh of Phelios. That's something that you can play into the Rakan if you want, but it looks like we're going to get something a little more spicy than that.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that's a dazzling pick over there for Cosa Gamers. Really incredible. I'm a little bit blinded over here, but yeah, that is I believe a Taric that has been locked in, and the Xayah will be taken away as well. Are we familiar at all, Turk, with the Xayah Taric lane?
Well, the Xayah Taric lane, I mean, right away, there's definitely some inherent synergies. Early on, actually, even early, you can make an argument too that early on that the Taric would have a stronger level 1, so the Xayah Taric is pretty strong. Taric is a counter into the Rakan. I do know that for sure. So it'll be interesting to see how they play around that. CGS, obviously, Disrespectful has that Xayah now. That's a nice comfort pick. But GEB, they're going to go right away with the Kog'Maw. It's interesting to see the Kog'Maw and Rakan paired together. But it kind of reminds me of like the Zeri Rakan vibe before really Rakan was picked with her. It really feels like a lot of the time with Kog'Maw, you want something like the Lulu, obviously. That's something that comes to mind. The Emilio being banned for game number 2 is not an option, but that doesn't matter at this point anymore. We've got Leoto on his signature Ornn, right? So if he's not picking Shen, it's probably going to be Ornn. He's able to grab that right away. The one thing you got to take note of, though, so far, I think CGS have done a really good job at being able to deal with that pick itself. The Xayah ultimate does a great job at disengaging from the Ornn. The Taric R, let alone, you can imagine that. The Gwen, she could do the exact same thing and actually dodge that too. So phase 1s from both teams, I think, pretty solid. At CGS, I like their spicy and unique pick. I haven't seen the Taric pick into Rakan in competitive in a long time.
Yeah, and I feel like it should be relatively straightforward as well to layer the Taric ultimate and the Xayah ultimate appropriately, because Taric ultimate has that delay on it, right? That should be, if played correctly, a lot of invulnerability for the Xayah. So that could definitely look really good. And then, of course, the Gwen counter pick into the Ornn also feeling very nice for the Ghost Gamers up in that top side. See if, likely, I think that martial arts is once again going to be able to find themselves a significant individual advantage. And with a champion like Gwen, that can be much more impactful as opposed to something like Mordekaiser.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that for sure. And really, the question is, how well can Leota play around his team, and can he make things happen on the timers that he's given? So that's really the main question when GEB look to group up again. We've already seen it right away. They're drafting front to back, team fighting comp. Or obviously, in this case, they're looking to create space for Silva on the Kog'Maw. So really interesting. I like to see it from GEB. CGS, I think they've done a great job at reacting, and we are actually going to get the soul. There it is, right then and there.
I guess the worries of the Cosa gamers will be actualized here in this second pick phase.
We'll see if it was worth the ban in the first place, I guess.
We will.
In the game that we saw the Aurelion Sol last week, I believe he was actually into a Jace, and the Jace has arguably a lot more priority than the Ahri in this case. So the Aurelion Sol feel like it's going to have a bit of an easier time, and LDCs is going to get another carry jungle. Feels like there's too many carry jungles to ban at this point. You're going to grab Kha'Zix, super OP this patch, and R5 Rengar. We're gonna that's the lore.
The lore battle.
It's
huge. It's absolutely massive. Very nice from Cosa gamers. Shout outs to Treacherously for giving us the lore battle here as the Rengar does get locked in. Didn't work out so well for the Golden Guardians at MSI, of course, but you know, maybe these two teams a little bit more closely matched than the Golden Guardians were with their opponent. So and this is a really spicy from Cosa gamers, honestly. There's just spice all over the place. They just opened up that spice cabinet and they just flipped that sucker over and they just dumped everything into the pot, and we're just gonna have to see how that ends up tasting, because the Rengar Ahri, it feels to me, Turk, like that could be a really powerful mid-jungle duo, but the setup isn't necessarily the easiest.
No, I agree with that too, and they're 2v2 in the right scenario. 100%, I feel like they're going to beat the Aurelion Sol and the Kha'Zix, but really at this point, GEB just needs to buy time, excuse me. That's really what they need to do, and the Kog'Maw needs to get 2 items. Really at 1 item, he starts to spike with the Gwynsu's now. Obviously, that item seems to be very strong, and Aurelion Sol is going to take probably more than 1. I think a lot of Aurelion Sols say rush. No, I'm not even going to say anything. I don't know. I just know it's going to take at least 2 items before the Aurelion Sol really starts to come online. The Kha'Zix, it's interesting too. I like that pick. We've seen a lot of success there in professional play. Same deal with solo queue, and now obviously an amateur as well. So the Kha'Zix I think is nice, but GEB's comp to me seems a little. It seems like a lot of the agency that you would have in early game just isn't there. There's not like really no lanes at all for LDCs to be able to play around with this Kha'Zix, which I don't think he actually minds, because I think LDCs just kind of likes to be able to full clear, just get like natural advantages. His pathing seems to be pretty clean, like really efficient with it, so it seems like he could just naturally get these CS leads against his opponent. But I don't think it really hinders GEB too much in that regard when it comes to the jungle relationship, but in terms of the lanes themselves, I think they might have a bit of a tricky time in terms of, you know, really the first maybe 15 minutes of the game.
I think so, Turk, and I do think it's really important to mention that, you know, this is obviously straight out of the playbook for Glacial Esports. You know, this is bread and butter, the kind of composition that they like to run. They've got a bunch of comfort picks across the board here. But I do like that you also mentioned, you know, the fact that this can really struggle early on, and that game 1 that they played last week as well against, of course, Glaive Emerald was a very decisive win for Glaive Emerald against a composition very similar to this. You already mentioned the Aurelion Sol, but it was a composition for Glacial that didn't really have anything to play through in the early game, and Glaive Emerald was able to capitalize on that really, really well, and they got a very quick win in that game. So Glacial Esports, you know, obviously it is comfort for them, but they're going to need to play this early game very respectfully, very patiently, until they really get those item spikes online.
Yeah, and inevitably they will get there. Really, it's just about how much you're willing to give up early on. Like, chances are you're probably going to have to concede a couple neutrals. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. But with that being said, it's not like CGS has the absolute crazy strongest early game either. I just think that they spike quicker. I think that they'll be stronger, especially if there's like level 6, like right around the mid side, like the Ahri Rengar. I feel like that's when that lane can really start to find some kills.
Yeah.
And the second that the Ahri can push that wave mid, she can look to roam to her side lanes. They have counter pick top side with that Gwen. If you get Gwen a couple kills, you can really start to snowball there. And yeah, the impact when that Gwen groups up is a lot more than a Mordekaiser. So you have that lane to play to. You also have bot side to play to as well. The Terra Xayah feels like they're pretty safe. It needs to be pretty difficult to be able to kill them. Obviously, I'm sure GEB can find windows to be able to do that, but I think really it's around this Ahri pick. We'll see how well they're able to play. The Aurelion Sol was picked into the Ahri. which I believe does pretty well. But with that being said, you're still going to give up early prio, and yeah, that's how well this Ari can roam.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of eyes on Animal this game to see what they are going to be able to make happen with the Ari in that mid lane. You know, like you just mentioned, it is a matchup that clearly Kaitazur is comfortable with. But, you know, given the context of the rest of these drafts, we will definitely have to keep an eye on how that ends up playing out. But overall, Turk, what are you thinking about these compositions? I mean, obviously, maybe just like in theory, we like Cosa Gamers a little bit more agency in the early game, still some strong team fighting, lots of carry threats, but definitely it is a little bit of an off-the-wall composition in terms of a couple of these picks that we don't see too often. And outside of Glacial Esports, you know, as we already mentioned, very standard for the team, strong team fighting, good scaling. Where do you land on this one?
Yeah, it's a tough one to answer, Kruven, to be honest with you.
Yeah, especially with the nameplates
Yeah.
on, right?
Yeah, yes, 100%. Like Glacial Esports Black, like they get the team comp that they want, and they do it. They just end up costing the early game. I believe, at least. It's not like they can't find windows by any means, but just with the champions that they've drafted, especially around mid lane. Mid lane is so crucial. I want to highlight that one more time. Priority that Ari should be able to get out of that Aurelion Soul, pushing that wave, and then roaming is a lot. So we'll see. I think it's really what team is able to use the advantage that they're able to get early. So CGS should have it this game, right? So we'll see how well they can play around it. I feel like they did a pretty good job in game one for the first little bit. They played really well around the bot side priority on that first dragon to be able to get the kills that they had. In this case, I'll give it to CGS. I think if they get some agency early on through their mid jungle duo, I think that they have a lot of opportunities to find picks, especially on Kog'Maw and a mobile EDC. You have a lot of windows there, and Aurelion Soul too. Both carries are pretty vulnerable this game.
Yeah, definitely. I do have a little bit of an update for us. Unfortunately, guys, we are not able to fix the overlay right now. I know that's not the news you were hoping for, but you're just going to have to continue using your imagination to determine which teams are on which sides. I'll hit you with another reminder. Glacial Esports Black on the blue side for the second game. Cosa Gamers Squad will be on the red side with their very spicy composition. You know, you've been talking, Turk, about how your eyes are going to be on this mid lane matchup and determining the flow of this second game. Personally, as a jungler myself as well, and with the lore matchup that we have here, I'm going to be honed in on these junglers. You know, not necessarily the best in terms of finding early action, but I feel like the battle between Kha'Zix and Rengar, it might not actually, but it should have a big impact on the outcome of this game.
Yeah, if either of those jungles get off to an early lead, chances are they can start to snowball that lead. And then at that point, God only knows what's really going to end up happening. But yeah, if Kha'Zix gets ahead, then the Kha'Zix can pop off. If the Rengar gets ahead, same deal. So yeah, that jungle matchup is something to pay attention to for sure. It's just what lanes are those jungles able to play to set themselves up? And yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, it looks like Cosa Gamer Squads has a bit more options there, but we've seen Glacial Esports Black do pretty magical things on the Rift before, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them pull something out here, maybe another rabbit. So we'll see.
We sure have. We know they're a very magical team, and they also are a team that's full of momentum after picking up that win in game number 1. So we'll see if Glacial Esports Black, the first seed from Group A, are going to be able to move up to match point in tonight's finals, or if the Cosa Gamers will be able to even up this series, if the Rengar in the jungle, if the Taric at the support position will be enough to get them the edge here in this second game. Don't go anywhere, guys. You're not going to want to miss this one. It's sure to be a banger. Absolutely fantastic time. We'll see you here real soon. Overlay or no for game 2. All right, everybody, here we go on to the Rift once again for game 2. Just another reminder, Glacial Esports, black on the blue side this time around. Cosa Gamer Squad positions on the red. Once again, the Cosa Gamers looking for a little bit of a level 1 here, but they will be spotted out, I think, by Sly Lego. Not going to find too much.
Yeah. And wisely too ends up placing that ward in that tri-bush just in case Costa Gamer Squads decides to go for a late invade, but obviously on the opposite side of the map, a little bit of a cross map here. Expect a ward going on that buff before the reset, or right there, even better. They should be able to spot where Treacherously is able to start, but some more shenanigans. Never stops, does it?
No ward in this bush, but there is a Silva there. The Kog'Maw will now spot out this secondary attempt at an invade. And the rotation is coming back. LDC's actually went for the reset after placing that ward so we could pick up the sweeper. And the Kha'Zix is going to be forced to start on his own blue buff. Certainly not ideal for the Kha'Zix.
Yeah, but they know that this is happening right now. Sly Lego's just trying to spot them on this buff. They don't need to do anything too crazy about it. LDC's recognizes that. Now he can go clear topside. So that's exactly what he'll do, and he'll move into the enemy jungle. And now all of a sudden we've established a split map. So right now bot side is a strong side for Costa Gamer Squad, while top side is a strong side for GEB.
We'll see if the Xayah Taric are able to find themselves a nice big advantage here in this early game as a result of being on the strong side. You know, Rengar, look for a level 2 gank
Ooh.
here, as that was the early flash expended from Silva to get away from the Dazzle. Clearly, I mean, probably not playing against Taric too much recently, just getting caught off guard at that level 1 mark.
I think honestly it was actually the ward, the really cheeky placed ward in that tri-bush spotting out treacherously. If that stun lands, there's a chance that the follow-up
Yeah.
damage is enough to get the kill on Silva. So I think that's just a respect flash more than anything. And
Hmm.
I think it's pretty wise.
Yeah, well, Silva, regardless, will be able to stay safe for now, just having to expend that summoner spell. Wave pushing in, of course, so the Kog'Maw should be able to farm most of that up.
Yeah, and you can already see from the split map that late invade. Ooh, bit of damage coming in. Nothing too crazy, but that bot push is able to happen now. Disrespectful and Lion Eyes, if they want, they can look to take a reset or keep this pressure up. But Silva right now, no flashing. Seemed like it happened game one, I think twice actually. So Silva really hasn't had much of a chance to use this flash at all early game when it comes to aggressiveness.
Definitely true, but Kog'Maw doesn't really care about the early game, does he? He's
True,
just very
very
happy
true.
to sit there and not have flash and just last hit minions to
Yeah.
his small little void puppy heart's content. Knock up in the top lane. Leoto looking to keep up his dominance here in this top lane. You know, dominance is relative, of course, because wasn't winning out in the 1v1 necessarily in that previous game, but did manage to
Oh, the
win
charm.
against the Nexus, and there is
Oh
a
yeah.
charm landing, flash expended, and the ignite as well from Animal. Get some good damage down onto the Aurelion Soul, but not able to finish off that kill.
That's right. Seemed like a bit of a miscommunication there between Animal and Treacherously. The Charm Flash comes in and obviously just no follow up, no stacks being built on the Rengar passive there, so no stun able
Yeah.
to follow through. And yeah, Kaiser just gets away, saves his flash, and no harm done.
Yeah. Good call out there as well. The Aurelion Soul not even having to use the flash, just using the glide to get back towards the turret
Yeah.
and able to stay pretty safe. We'll probably have to use the teleport here. Oh, that's
Oh,
actually a stop on the back. Oh man, Kite Azur disrespecting there an Animal with the punish, waiting until the recall was almost completed and then steps up for another combo.
this wave state is so bad right now for Glacial Esports Black. They know that this wave is pushing away, and Costa Gamer Squad is doing a great job recognizing that. You see Treacherously in that bot side brush. He's wasting a bit of his
Oh.
time, but the potential's here. There it
The
is.
flash gets the stun. Treacherously going to be able to get on top of the Kog'Maw here. Silva,
The
no
root.
flash, gets rooted by the Blade Color as well. And Treacherously is going to be able to pick up that kill. Meanwhile, Martial Arts
Oh.
in the top side. LDC is on the cross map, and the Kha'Zix will be able to get one back. So Kha'Zix and Rank are both drawing some blood here around the 4.5-minute mark.
Yeah, lots of action coming in there, and that's a good heads up play. Recognizing that wave state bot side treacherously waits in that bush. He ends up getting level 4 all said and done with that kill and all the creep XP that he did soak, but it ends up paying off. The patience, beautiful flash done there from Lion Eyes on the Taric, and they are able to get the kill on Silva, and that was great. And equally on cross map, we have LDCs netting up a kill himself too. So yeah, the lore still continues, right? Both junglers at this point, one kill apiece.
Really quickly, do need to address Twitch chat once again. Unfortunately, Gritty LOL, no, there is not a way to change the overlay. I'm very sorry, but we are just stuck with this for now. But back to the action at hand. Kite Azur eating another charm underneath the tier 1 here. Animal really doing a great job of keeping up the pressure in this lane. And Silva still no
Oh,
flash. A nice sidestep on the Dazzle.
it
The
doesn't
root
matter.
still comes through, though, from the feathers. And the Kog'Maw cannot get away. A little bit of enhanced range on the autos there from the lethal tempo for a disrespectful. And the Zaya secures her first of the game. Lyoto, a little bit creep blocked there. The steering charge
Oof.
to just barely get back underneath the turret. We'll have to base and go for the teleport back to lane as we do find the
Oh, the
grand
charm.
entrance onto Animal. Maybe, oh, Sly Lego, the flash not quite in the position that he wanted to get to. And Treacherously will be able to lock down another kill. At least he's getting jumped on. Now the Orb of Deception getting quite a lot of damage down in the Foxfires
Wait,
as well. Means Animal's going to be able to get that kill, but Kite Azur does manage to get
the
one back
stun.
onto the Rengar. The Dazzle comes through onto the Aurelion Soul, and it's a double kill
Oh
for
no,
the
Silva,
Artie.
no
Oh, and now
flash.
Silva's here as well. The Kog'Maw, the level 4 Kog'Maw
Oh
in his jungle,
no.
going to get chased down with martial arts. And what is going on, Turk? It is what? It's 8-2. It's Cosa Gamer Squad across the map. They're just picking up kill after kill right now.
6 minutes, they got 2.5K
What
gold
is
lead coming
happening?
in. Holy. Cosa Gamer Squad just turning it up a notch right now. And you could argue maybe a little bit of an overextension, but the damage through the Taric passive, it should be enough to be able to net this dragon as well. And yeah, this early game has gotten off to a crazy start. And Glacial Esports feels like maybe a bit of this draft could be a main falter here for game number 2, and we're gonna have to see. At this point right now, LDCs, he still needs time to be able to ramp up in that Kha'Zix. He doesn't have any lanes to play to. Silva is so far behind, 0-3. He's down 15 CS at this
Yeah,
point, 2 kills. It's feeling really doomed. And Cosa Gamer Squad, we're gonna see how well they're able to play around the tempo that they can generate just from these natural leads. But this early game has just gone off without a hitch for these guys.
absolutely. And I must say, Turk, I'm getting some flashbacks from last week from the match between Glacial and Glaive Emerald. That game 1 looked a lot like this, where Glaive Emerald got that dominant victory. Really, their biggest victory of that entire match was in that first game when they were playing against a composition similar to this for Glacial. Really quickly again, shout out to Twitch chat, Puffles, Mia. The match score is 1-0 right now in favor of Glacial Esports, who are on the blue side in this game and getting absolutely demolished in this early game.
Yeah, they definitely are right now. And at this point, you got to wonder what you can do. We see treacherously heading towards top side here. Going to be able to secure this top scuttle, clear off this ward. That nets him level 6 as well. So if the Rengar wasn't strong before, now he definitely is. But one good news here for Silva, at the very least, you have a nice wave going, pushing towards you. You recognize where the Rengar is. You saw him top, so you know that they're playing Rift. You're not going to get dove on this wave. You should be able to soak it. And at the very least, you net yourself some XP. Much needed gold.
Yeah, definitely. That is what we need for the side of Glacial Esports in this game. Oh,
Oh, I
that's
spoke
another
too
Dazzle
soon.
connecting. A nice grand entrance in response from Sly Lego, but the level 6 has come through from Disrespectful. Not going to go for anything too aggressive right here as LDCs. I didn't quite see if he managed to secure that Gromp, who actually got the last hit on that one. It might have been the Gwen actually that stole it away. The Herald also secured by the Cosa Gamers in that top side. That is now going to be in Treacherously's back pocket.
Yeah, and just firm control of this early game at this point right now. Next Dragon's coming up in 3 minutes, so there's a bit of a timer here for Glacial Esports to hopefully slow the pace of this game down. But if you take a look on that map right now, even towards topside, look at the vision control that Cosa Gamer Squads have been able to establish with the priority here. You cannot walk
Yeah.
anywhere if you're LDCs, because even if you don't show on those topside wards, guess what? You'd still know where LDCs is because he's going to be bot side. So at this point in time right now, LDCs is tracked across the entirety of the map. It's very difficult for him to be able to do much. As you can see, Animal being a bit of a pest here, rightfully so.
Mm-hmm. Stealing away a
Stealing some of
chicken
these
there
little
as
things.
well.
Yeah, you sure is.
Himself a little crispy chicken there from the chicken pit.
That's right. And
LDC's also, I'm just noticing actually, Turk, the ghost on Kha'Zix. That is a bit
oh,
unusual, I
true.
must say.
Yeah, we saw the ghost come out game 1 with the Graves, and I've seen the ghost with
Mm-hmm.
Graves, but I
I feel
haven't
like it
seen the
makes
ghost with
more
the
sense with
Kha'Zix.
Graves, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think so as well. But I mean, LDC's obviously has a plan in mind. But yeah, generally you see the flash for sure. But I,
Yeah.
I kind of want to go back really quick to last week
Mm,
though. In that series with Glacial Esports Black, there was many times there when they ended up falling behind, and it was so close. The enemy team almost ended up closing out multiple games. At this point right now, Costa Gamer
true.
Squads is in the same position as the last series before. Just obviously, we'll see if they're gonna throw or not, and that's really the main question, I think.
Yeah. Need to work
Uh-oh.
in the top lane. Lyoto committing the Forge God call as well. Oh, that is not the correct direction, but in the end, it didn't matter as Martial Arts didn't quite have enough damage to finish off the Ornn before he could get underneath his turret. So that will be just a trade of ultimates between those top laners. Martial Arts obviously coming out ahead in terms of HP.
Yeah, in this wave state right now, it feels so difficult for Silva and Sly Lego to be able to do too much. On the Recon, excuse me, generally speaking, you want to be able to roam and impact the map, but there's really no lanes for you to be able to do that with. LDCs hasn't been able to get ahead. He does have his Ghost Blade now, but equally that's matched by Treacherously, so power spikes are still there the same, and the rest of the team for Cosa Gamer Squads is absolutely online. And Recon should be okay to get going here at some point, but if the roams come in, that's what you really need. You need to be able to play off whatever advantages you can find. And right now, it just doesn't seem like there's too much going on for Glacial Esports Black and Cosa Gamer
Mm-hmm.
Squads looking to be more aggressive once again.
Like where treacherously is, just waiting in
Yeah,
that raptor bush, just hoping for a bug to wander into the area to be squished. But the bug is actually going towards his wolves, so he's going to be safe for now. See where he ends up pathing after that on the Kazakhs. But yes, your point is well taken that you were just making a minute ago. The fact that last week, we saw Glacial Esports fall behind consistently in those early games, but more often than not, they were able to come back in the end with the team fighting, with the scaling to actually secure the wins. So, the gold lead is very significant right now for the Cosa gamers, and they do have a very strong composition from ahead that can snowball, but we need to see the execution come through here in this second game if they want to tie up the match.
that's exactly it. The early game advantage, there's no doubt that it's there at this point. The gold lead that you've been able to establish at 12 minutes is great. Second Dragon, unfortunately, is going to be a Cloud Soul, but it's still not the worst thing. You're going to be able to pick it up. It's not too bad on Ari. It's not too bad on Zaya. I mean, really, the whole members of everybody there really on Costa Gamer Squad.
Okay,
Oh,
LDCs is going to leap forward. Martial Arts is relatively isolated. He does have a minion wave there for a little bit of a denial on that ISO damage, but the kill will come through as Kaitazor glides in to lock it down, committing the ultimate there as well on the Aurelion Soul. Did also have to flash to get out of that turret aggro, but still a much-needed kill going over to Glacial Esports as
oof.
treacherously on the cross map. Once again, the Kazakhs and the Rengar, they haven't really met too many times just yet. But they've
Yeah,
both been finding some success.
nearly doubled CS lead at this point for Disrespectful on the Zaya. And all this stems from that level one, that late
Mm-hmm.
invade, splitting the map,
Yeah.
making bot side weak side for Glacial Esports Black. They do a great job identifying that here in game number 2, recognizing that they played so well through their bot side game 1 and might see something else.
Dazzle lands, a lot of damage on his Sly Lego, but he tries to turn around. The
He's dead.
quickness into the grand entrance, the ignite will take him down, and now the brilliance from the Kazakhs will keep Zaya safe. The Feather Storm committed there as well. LDC is having to flash to get away from the
No
Feathers.
way.
Lion Eyes on the
Oh,
front line will get taken down before the Dazzle can complete, but now the Feathers from the Zaya will get that kill back onto the Kazakhs. And Disrespectful, so strong, already had the Storm Razor completed to compared to just a pickaxe for Silva, and the Zaya will easily be able to clean up that fight. Also a kill in the top lane for Martial Arts, and it's 12-4 on the board.
oh my goodness. The game state right now for Glacial Esports is so difficult. The gold lead
It's
in bot
pretty
lane
grim.
alone
Oh
is
my
massive.
god, that damage. Is he just dead? The Spirit Rush
Animal?
to get away from the
Oh
Grand
my
Entrance. Oh
god.
my god, Animal. True to his name, an absolute animal in the mid lane. 100-0 on the Aurelion Soul underneath the turret, and he even had a Rakan there to help him out.
He dodged like 3 abilities there. It's a
Yeah,
nutcase. Popping
absolutely
off.
insane from Animal, just making Glacial Esports look silly in that mid lane.
Yeah, still
You
has his
know,
flash too, by the way.
didn't even have to flash.
Figured
Didn't
I'd
even
mention
need it.
that real quick. No, that was a great outplay there from Animal, and looks like he's warmed up here for this game too. 4-0,
100%.
500 gold bounty.
Yeah, and that is something else that we mentioned at the top of the stream, right? The fact that Animal is off roll tonight is usually a top laner, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yep.
moving over to the mid lane this time around, definitely, as you say, seems like he is warming up here in the second game.
Yeah, and the priority here for topside as well. This Rift Herald should be going down. Pretty much every neutral at this point for, you could argue, even the next 5-10 minutes should be going down. It's going to be difficult for Glacial Esports to even be able to contest the soul, let alone the soul point. So at this point right now, Costa Gamer Squad, you're in a perfect position. Disrespectful is a bit of weak side here. You see 4 members, and this is really the only thing as Glacial Esports you could do is try to overload a side lane. If you find a pick, that's great, but Costa Gamer Squads have done a great job recognizing that, and their cross maps have been on point here for game 2.
Yeah, disrespectful, not true to his name at all in this situation. Playing, in fact, extremely respectfully, recognizing, oh, that's a Spirit Rush into the
Just kidding.
charm over the wall, and the Kazakhs just didn't even know what hit him. He's in love with the fox, a little bit
Uh-oh.
unusual for an insect, but that is just how it is. And here comes the Rengar, the thrill of the hunt indeed, has treacherously taken some more heads, adding them to his bone tooth necklace down here in this bottom lane. Devastation committed by the Cosa gamers. They lay waste to the Glacial Esports composition. It's an annihilation here in this second game. They've built the gold lead up to almost 9,000 at 15 minutes, Turk. That is almost unheard of.
I mean, we were talking about if they get the early game advantage, then they have so much opportunity, so much potential to make things happen on the map. And you could see it felt like game one, they had a bit of a window to be able to do that, but you could argue it was a bit of a draft diff. But for game two, once they get ahead, it seems like they really know how to hold on to that advantage. And across the board, both carries right now, 0 deaths, both with massive bounties. A couple oversteps could end up costing them a bit of tempo in this game, but you could argue even a couple botched fights, it may not even matter at this point. You could look at the components for Silva. Like it's just not there. There's not even the Gwynsus is available at this point, and your ADC, I mean, it's not quite there, but it's almost double the amount of gold. I mean, we're sitting right now, Disrespectful has 8K, while Silva has
Oh, yeah.
4.4. Just to put it in a little bit of perspective, of really just how warped this game is, just through the bot side. And again, you got to highlight it. It's that level one set play coming in from Cosa Gamer Squad. They all they do is they just invade late bot side. They're able to prioritize that, get that camp, and then all of a sudden, Silva and Sly Lago are put in weak side for the rest of the game. Silva again having to burn his flash early. Things just snowballed so quickly for CGS, and they did such a good job.
Yeah, they've been doing a great job of controlling that snowball as well, right? This is a play coming out from Glacial Esports in the top lane. Martial Arts is trying his very best to be immune. He's ignited underneath
Oh,
the
he
turret,
lives.
and the side of Glacial Esports not going to be able to stick around there, not able to get that kill, and they're losing so much here in the mid lane as
Oh
well. Look at
no.
this from Cosa Gamers already onto the inhibitor turrets. Martial Arts is still alive. He will eventually get taken down. And Leota will
Uh-oh.
also not go down. Surely going to get summoned up in this mid lane. Yeah, this is a lot that will be going over to the side of Cosa Gamers. So the inhibitor falls. It's just
They can
before
threaten end.
18 minutes.
They
Yeah,
can,
they
they can
could be
threaten end.
looking for it here.
Two members are down right now. Silva is up on the Kog'Maw, however. He did just come up, but
Yeah, that's the
oh,
Herald
look at
charge.
that.
And the first Nexus turret, they're Carrick ultimate coming down as well, making everybody completely immune to these turret shots coming through. Surely it will go down, but the Nexus now exposed. And Cosa Gamers, they will lose their jungler. The last desperate stand from the side of Glacial Esports. Will they be able to hold on to the Nexus animal and Disrespectful getting the auto attacks down? And it's looking like this will be the end of game number 2. The Nexus will fall as Martial Arts snips away the top laner for that last kill. Absolute domination for the Cosa Gamers here in this second game. Really impressive stuff, coming back with a vengeance.
That was a clinic. That's like how to play League 101 right there. Like right away from level one, we already talked about it. We don't need to mention too much about the late invade at this point. But when you make that bot side weak side for Glacial Esports, you really attack the core identity of the team, and they did a great job with that late invade, recognizing that. And that's not something that you really expect to see. But the Taric looks like it comes out pretty clutch there. You can make an argument that on GEB for blue side, maybe they want to end up, instead of first picking the Rakan, they prioritize the Zaya. Maybe that's the play there. Obviously, there's many other options that you could do, but that first pick Rakan just didn't seem like it paid off really at all for Glacial Esports Black. And looks like for this series, for the finals, they've really got to get dialed in their draft. It seems like there's just no opportunity for LDCs to play to any lane. So when there's that much of a draft diff, it feels at that point, if you're against a team that's comparable to your skill level, in case CGS right there, you can see it. They're able to push the advantages that they get, and they close the game out before 20 minutes, like 18 minutes and 42 seconds.
Crazy. Yeah. I mean, to draw another parallel to our match last week, right? Like, this is actually much more one-sided than that game that we were referencing, that other Aurelian Soul game for the side of Kaitazur in that mid lane. Was lasted until like 25 minutes, I believe, but this one significantly faster. And as the Cosa Gamers, they're in the finals for a reason, right? They saw the angle here They had some really creative drafting, and they executed extremely well
Yeah.
to get such a dominant win.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful gameplay from the set plays to the individual mechanics. And before you even ask me, I'll just tell you right away who my MVP is for game number 2. There's going to be Animal. Guy played exactly like that, like
Yeah,
completely popped off. He ends up going 9-0. He's off roll. He plays the Ari. Ends up with the most damage in the game, 14.3k. Pretty damn good considering it's a 19-minute game. So I don't know exactly how you adapt here for GEB. I mean, do you look to take red, save that counter pick for yourself? At that case, maybe you end up giving up the first pick Zaya. Do you care at that point? Maybe you want to play the Aphelios into it. These are a lot of mental notes that both teams are thinking about. But that game too was very decisive. So I feel like GEB needs to go back to the drawing board. I said it once already, where I think that if GEB is going to lose the series, they lose it in draft phase. I think game 2, that was exactly what happened there, and we'll see what happens game 3.
definitely. We shall see indeed. Treacherously, I do think deserving of some credit for going for the
Oh, for
split
sure.
map.
Yep.
Disrespectful in Lion Eyes, playing really nicely, really aggressively in that bottom lane as well to find that early lead. But I'm with you on your vote for the mid laner here, Animal. You can't really argue with 9-0-4 and on top of the damage charts. And that whole split map strategy kind of falls apart a little bit if you don't have pressure in the mid lane. So
Yeah.
that's really, thanks to Animal and the entire team over here, of course, on the Cosa Gamers side, really popping off here in the second game to get them a win. We are going to go ahead and go to a short break, guys, while we get ready for game 3. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.